All right, so yeah, how I play the sectors. First and foremost, I am Jamal, aka Self King Super, um, superhero, super, whatever you want to call me. But I will be here telling you about what are market sectors. What the hell is a market sector? Well, basically, market sectors are groups of stocks that basically compete with each other. So they're in the same industry, and most of the time they'll compete with each other. So for here on the screen, I got an example of a communication services sector. And all three of these stocks or companies are in the same communication services sector. So that's AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon. So they all basically provide cell phone service, one of the things they do, and they compete with each other.
Detox. 10 hours pass.
AT&T competes with T-Mobile, Verizon competes with T-Mobile, all for our dollars. So that's basically what market sectors are. It's basically groups of stocks that are in similar industries, and they're basically categorized by their different market sectors. These sectors, they're categorized so they can help us as traders make better decisions. And like I was saying earlier, there's 11 of them, and they're classified according to the Global Industry Classification Standard. And then right there you see the list of them: healthcare, materials, real estate, consumer staples, utilities, energy, consumer discretionary, industrials, communication services, financials, and technology. So it's 11 of them. And the stock market or Wall Street or whoever tries to divide all of the stocks traded into these 11 categories. So let's start with the first one, and that's going to be the energy sector. I love the energy sector. And the energy sector basically contains all companies that are oil and natural gas related. So that doesn't just include, people who we get gas from, but it also includes stuff like people who produce the oil, people who transport the oil from here to there, people who provide services in relation to oil and natural gas, and people who provide equipment and other technology in relation to natural gas. What is not included in this energy sector is renewable energies. So that would be all your like solar powers and stuff like that. That's actually in the utility sector, which we'll cover later. So some examples of some stocks that are in the energy sector would be Exxon, BP, and Energy Transfer, which you see over there to the right. The next one is the material sector. And that is all companies that provide goods used in manufacturing or building or other applications like that. So here you got your chemicals, you got your construction equipment makers, you got your mining companies, you got your packaging companies, and all of those things have to relate back to materials. So inside of there you'll have BTU, which is a stock that I love to play. They're mining. That's Peabody over here, energy. You got AA. They actually do aluminum, so they are related to metals and mining of that aluminum. And then you got Mosaic, which is actually fertilizer. So that has to do with chemicals and planting and food and stuff like that. So all of that will fall under the material sector. Up next, we got the industrials, and that's like heavy duty equipment. So anything involving heavy duty equipment, machinery, and transportation, but anything like big machines going from here to there. And these categories are kind of very, very vague and broad, so they can cover a lot of these different corporations. So in industrials, you'll find stuff that has to do with aerospace. You'll find stuff that has to do with defense. You'll find stuff that has to do with construction. And you'll even find the airlines in there. So you'll see Boeing, you'll see United Airlines, and then you'll see Lockheed Martin in there. Lockheed Martin, they make missiles. They make defense weapons and stuff like that. So they'll be in there too. Boeing does the same thing. They make the fighter jets, I believe. Or planes in general. I'm not sure if they make missiles, but Boeing does make planes. Up next, utilities. Utilities is basically companies that provide something useful or something that has usability. So underneath here, you'll find the people who you get your power from, who power your house. So those are the electric companies, the water companies, and then like I stated before, this is where you'll also find your renewable energy companies like your First Solar. And so Duke and Dominion Energy, those are energy companies that basically provide power to households. And so that's where you'll find those types of companies in this utility sector. Moving right along to the healthcare sector. The healthcare sector is a slow mover, but it has nice plays in it, as you can see on the right over there. So the healthcare sector would include everything related to health and biology. So that includes people doing analysis, health related, people supplying health related equipment and supplies, and even health insurance. So all of those companies and stuff like that will be in the healthcare sector. So that's where you'll see Pfizer, who, they have the COVID vaccine and all other types of stuff that Pfizer does. You also see Abbott. They actually have supplies. So they make the COVID vaccine test. I actually got one of those in the bathroom. They make the home testing for COVID. And then you got something like Teladoc too, which is more technology. I think they handle like health paperwork and stuff like that, making sure that everything is digital and stored in the cloud or whatnot as far as your health and what the doctor needs to know. So those are some stocks that you'll see in the healthcare sector. Moving right along, financials is basically any company that handles money. So that includes insurance on the money, that includes credit card services like Visa, that includes services in general like Square, which handles money, and then also that includes banks like a Wells Fargo, which you see over there to the right. And we'll talk about this again later. Like I said, these sectors are very broad, so you'll come into situations where you'll get certain stocks that fit under multiple categories or multiple sectors like a Square, and we'll get to that later on in the presentation. The next one is consumer discretionary. This is where all the good shit is right here. So this is basically companies that are related to providing goods and services that consumers want. So they want them when money is right. So when your money is right, you go out and you buy what you want. And so these businesses include stuff like McDonald's, Amazon, and Tesla. So that's like food, certain foods that we want, luxury items and stuff like that. So in this consumer discretionary sector, you'll find restaurants like McDonald's, you'll find automobiles, luxury products that you want, but you might not necessarily need. So you want a Tesla when your money is right. You want to go shop on Amazon, when you have, extra dollars. You want to travel when you have extra money. So this is where you'll find something even like a Trip.com or Expedia will be under the consumer discretionaries. Moving right along, now you got your consumer staples. So the consumer staples, the difference between that is these are companies related to goods and services that consumers need. So you don't want these, you need these, regardless of if you're poor, rich, or whatever. So that includes food, beverages, tobacco products, household and personal care products, and also places where you can buy these. So that's supermarkets and grocery stores. So these are things that we need. You need food, so you need your condiments, you need your ketchup, you need your mustard, you need your cocoa butter, you need your lotions, you need your household supplies. So that's what PG does. Foods, that's what Heinz Craft does. And then Costco's is a place where you can get all of that stuff. So those will fall under consumer staples, stuff that people need regardless of if there's a war outside or if people can't even go outside. You still need these items under the consumer staples sector. Next one, information technology sector. And so these are all the tech companies. Everything that any company that can solve a problem via technology or using technology will be under here. So common information technology implementations is, use of equipment. You'll find your semiconductors under here. You'll find your hardware companies under here. You'll find your software companies under here. So this is where you'll find Apple, Microsoft, and then you'll find a software networking company like Cisco under here also. And then again, you also find Amazon under here. I didn't list the logo here, but Amazon will also be included in information technology because of the reason that I said earlier, how certain companies expand different sectors. So they don't just fall underneath one sector because they provide more than one type of service. So the communications...
Sorry, I was going to ask, is that where fintech falls under?
Well, fintech would actually probably fall under financial and technology. So that's basically what Square is. Square is fintech, so it's financial and they're using technology. So they would actually have to, further specify what Square is. It's not just a finance, it's also a technology. So that's where the term fintech comes in to classify stuff like a Square, stuff like a PayPal.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. And that solves me because I think on the next slide I was actually even about to go into that. So you already on it, so that's good. This I think is one of the last ones, communication services sector, and we touched on this earlier. This is where you'll find all the companies that provide communication via media. So that's you'll find your entertainment companies under here. You'll find your internet, radio companies under here. Anybody who's who's providing communication, one person saying hello to the other, one person seeing the other, one person getting information, data from another person will be underneath here. So services like telecommunications, I just stated, media, entertainment, wireless, telecommunications, aka wireless services, internet and cable providers, they will be under here. So you'll have your AT&T, they do wireless. AT&T also owns HBO, so they do media, entertainment. Google, same thing, telecommunications. They also even have a web, they even have wireless service. Google has YouTube where people communicate and you can digest people's videos and interact via that. And then the same thing with the Facebook. They have, telecommunications, people interacting, media, all of that stuff. So that's where you'll find your companies like that underneath the communication services sector. This is the last one, and this is the real estate sector. This is probably the most boring sector here that nobody really pays attention to. But this is all the companies that relate to the development or management of real estate. So all the companies that's building homes, building commercial properties and managing those properties, that's what you'll find here. You'll also find anything else that's real estate related, like Zillow, a company that helps you find homes in your area. You'll find that under here also. So some examples is Simon Property Groups. That's SPG. They actually own one of the malls, one of my local malls. American Tower is in the same business of property management and owning properties. And then, like I said, Zillow is a service where you can actually find real estate. Coming down to the last of it, like I said before, the sectors are very broad, and they're broad so that they can cover a lot of companies. And Spiders is actually a company that tracks the different sectors by their ETFs. Are you familiar with ETFs are?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, me personally, I just like to call ETFs like the all-star teams. So basically, each ETF is an all-star team consisting of the best players amongst the sectors. And those players are AKA the companies, AKA the stocks. So Spiders basically breaks it down for you, and they have all of the 11 sectors, and they basically have different rosters that make up a good picture for what that sector is doing or what that sector is. So here you'll find their roster and their portfolio, and the magic word is holdings. So whenever you're trying to find the holdings or the players or the roster of an ETF, you just look for Google the holdings and the ETF name. So like I stated before, this is the communication services sector, and just an example of the stuff that's inside of there. You got your Facebook, Google, Netflix, Disney, T-Mobile, AT&T, Activision, all of those telecommunication, people communicating with each other via various means of media, whether that's the internet, even video games, radio, entertainment, media, people interacting and sharing experiences. And Spiders, like I said, they offer a very nice picture of what each sector is doing via their ETFs, and you can find them all here. And so what I tend to do is, at the end of the day or in the morning, try to find which ETF is basically up or which is moving pre-market, so I can see basically where the money is already flowing before the game is even started yet. And usually that'll be, sometimes energy will be extremely up, and also materials, sometimes XME, which I don't see on here, but that's the mining and materials sector. These are not the only ETFs that they have. They have hundreds, if not thousands, of ETFs that are, some are just random ETFs, the random stocks that they generate, but most of them have purposes. Like, these are to define the sector, and then they have specific ones that get even more specific in the definition of groups and industries, which we can touch on now. Crossover, as we mentioned before, there's certain companies that cross over into different sectors. And so like I was stating before, Square is one of those because it uses finance and technology. And so that's where you find the fintech creation of terminology there, the creation of the fintech. They had to come up with that because they had all of these companies that they couldn't classify. So they had to come up with new terminology to classify those, and that's where you get your fintech, which is basically financial technology. And another example of that is Amazon. So Amazon spans all types of sectors. Amazon is e-commerce. That's where we go and we get all of our products. We can get consumer staples from there, soap, lotion, stuff that we need. And we can also get stuff that we want. I can go on there and buy some music equipment that I don't need. I can go buy jewelry, purses. So they have that. And then they also have Amazon Web Services, AWS, which is basically the backbone of the internet. Everything great almost runs on that. Netflix runs on AWS. So Netflix, they have all those thousands upon thousands of movies, all in HD, and all of that stuff is data. And Amazon Web Services basically provides them a place to store that and analyze it and recall it and ship it out to us at the snap of a finger. And they do that with a lot of stuff, everything from Netflix to Discord to Twitch. It's all running on the back of Amazon services. So when you hear AWS go down, that's when the internet basically gets really, really janky. And then another thing they have is Amazon Prime, providing stuff like a Netflix. So that's in a whole another telecommunications sector. Amazon Web Services will be in technology, IT. Amazon, as far as the shopping, that would be in something like a consumer discretionary or consumer staple, breaking it down further into a retail. And then recently, Amazon has also purchased MGM Theaters. So that's even more telecommunications that they're ranging from. Amazon also owns Whole Foods, which is, like I said, more consumer staples and consumer discretionary. So they're really, in a lot of sectors, and not just one. And in order to kind of combat that, these stocks that are in multiple sectors, they have the sectors broken down further into industries or industry groups, and these can vary based on who you're getting your information from. So I'm not going to really go deeply into it, but the group names are pretty understandable just from what the naming is. But these further categorize the market sectors, and it's basically just a more specific categorization of the companies. So if we click on here, this should be an example from Investors Business Daily. Investors Business Daily is a paper that I actually post in the Discord every week, but they provide good analytical, technical, fundamental information on stocks. I've actually been using them since 2009. But this is their industry rankings, and like I said, these rankings or these names can vary based on where you're getting your information from. But here, this is just an example of their ranking which industries have been moving. And here they have 197 different industry categories. That's why I didn't want to go deeply into it, because it can get extensive. But just the top 10 here is mining, gold, silver, gems. So they have mining, they have metal producers and distributors, they have steel, then they break it down into steel producers, they have medical, breaking that down into hospitals, they have steel again, but they're talking about specialty alloys. They have retail. I'm not sure what that acronym stands for, but then they have machinery, which will probably be a breaking down of the industrial sector. Likewise, the medical sector will be a breakdown of the healthcare sector. Going on, they have the auto manufacturers, which is basically the same as excuse me. Well, actually, no, this is a breaking down of the stuff that will be in the consumer discretionaries. And then you have your chemicals, which is a breakdown of the stuff that we saw in let's go back. Chemicals will be in materials. But then they break that specifically down into paint materials. So that's why you see stocks like Sherwin-Williams running, bringing up the whole chemicals and paint sector with them. Just going into some more, you got your building materials, specifically cement and concrete, computer software, which you'll find under your IT, and then more specifically, they're talking about education computer software. So you can really get a breakdown of where a company can be classified with these different ratings. And that's pretty much it as to the sectors. I was just going to go in and just kind of give an example of how I use the sectors to find my plays. But if you're on the Wednesday call, I'm sure you see what I do when I go to the simplywallstreet.com and then break it down.
Yeah, your screen cut out.
Oh, it did? God damn it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a work issue, but I'm seeing it right now.
That sucks. I should have kept the thing up so I could see when I was doing that. Oh, I still got it over here.
Maybe it's on my end. My fault.
But yeah, did you need to see something This is what I was referring to. Can you see it on the screen now? You didn't see the IMDb investors?
IBD I did see, yeah.
Okay.
That I caught.
Okay. Did you catch all of the PowerPoint slides and whatnot?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I didn't really show anything else after that. I was just gonna go into the Simply Wall Street. And then what I really wanted to show you, but I can only do it from my phone because I guess that the Yahoo Finance app is really the UI on there is a lot better. But I posted a video this morning basically going through how I created a watch list of the different sectors. And I look at that every morning just to see what's red pre-market or what's green pre-market, and basically just bet, what's already green. So today, I believe I saw that energy and the materials mining was up. So that's XLE. If we're looking at the different sectors of Spider, I saw that energy XLE was up. I saw that I think that was pretty much it. XME, which is not listed here, that was also up. So that's mining and materials. Metals and mining, that was also up. So that's when I just basically chose to focus. Well, I didn't trade, but I told people to focus on, having a chemical stock, having a metal stock, and having an energy stock, and at least just watching it to see what the price action is going to do, because those are the stuff that's already being bought. Now, if you wanted puts, everything else is red, so it basically just choose your winner when it comes to puts, because all of the other industries were clapped. So it's basically just choose whichever industry you're most comfortable with, and then from that stock, from that industry, whichever stock you're most comfortable with. Sometimes we complicate things, but it can be very simple. But just going into this, and then I'll wrap it up. This is one of the ways that I use the different sectors to make some money using this website, Simply Wall Street. This is telling you which sectors are trending within the last 7 days. They're showing us that real estate has been popping. Secretly, that most boring sector has actually been popping, and this actually is, to me, this is actually bad for the economy. From what my research is telling me, when the real estate sector starts booming like this is when the recession is coming. But real estate was booming, tech has been booming, and the utilities has been booming. Consumer discretionary also. So this site makes it pretty easy. You just click on whichever you're looking at, real estate, scroll down, and it gives you a list of stocks within that sector. And then you can basically see which one is doing the best as far as the UI, this presentation they have here. Basically, the more jelly you have, the better. The more filling that you have of the circle, the better. So this stock over here, Redfin, is pretty bad because it doesn't even have any filling in the jelly. You want the jelly to fill as much as possible. So American Tower, one of those stocks that we talked about earlier, is right there. It's doing very good. Public Storage and Prologis. This is actually, I think, the biggest holding in XLRE, which is Spider's ETF for the real estate. But that's basically how I would go in. I would actually even try to use this to find something that I'm more familiar with. But when it comes to real estate, I don't really know too many of these damn stocks. American Tower is really the only one that I'm familiar with. Maybe this Crown Castle, that sounds familiar. Public Storage sounds a little familiar too. But I would try to go with the one that gives me the most familiarity, and then the one that has the the highest stats and shit too. So over here you see this Avalon Bay is up 6% over the past week, and it's up 37.8% for the quarter. I mean for the year. So I just try to find whichever stock has the best ratings like that, and then also cross-reference that with the feeling I have in my gut as far as how familiar I am with the company. And I can create a whole watch list from that. I've actually found Schlumberger from here using this, and a lot of the stuff that I play as far as when it comes to energy. Oxy was on here, and CCJ. But this is a good resource to use as far as market sectors, as well as investors.com. But other than that, I didn't really have too much else to say. Hopefully I was helped out, was a little bit informative. Did you have any questions?
No, I think I got most of my questions. Both those sites look really resourceful. I'm going to check them out
Yeah,
after this.
yeah, definitely. I want to say it was one more, but I can't remember it now. But I mean, you'll be here, so I'll definitely let you know if I remember it. But these main two, definitely. Oh, it's the Tradielytics channel. Y'all don't directly have access to this, but you have access to me, so you do have access to this. But this basically does what this site does, but it's a little bit better. So they'll give you a sector breakdown. You scroll down here, and they give you this graphical form of which sectors are performing the best. You can change the time period to 7 days, and you can see. I like to see which lines is pointing upwards. So you see this blue one here is pointing downwards, even though it's up. It's kind of pointing down. So that's consumer discretionaries, and so I kind of try to filter out all of the ones that kind of pointing down so I can see better. I need this one to be alone. I need this purple one. I mean this orange one, and kind of filter out all of the noise to see which ones is actually gaining. And then you can actually see that over here, sector performance. This is today, which I like. Energy, utilities, healthcare, consumer staples, just a little bit was green today. So this basically tells you what was hot today, and then over here it kind of gives you a grasp for what's going to be hot within the coming week, the coming days, and what's been hot for the past week. And I actually use that too, trying to figure out what's going on with the different sectors. So this orange one here, even though it's at the bottom, it's pointing up. That's energy. But I would look for everything that's kind of either pointing up or in an upwards trajectory. Stuff that's pointing down, I would definitely neglect. But that was the last resource that I wanted to show you also. This website has tons of other stuff that it would just blow my mind going into it. But that's pretty much it. I won't hold you guys any longer. I do thank you for joining me, and like I said, hopefully I was able to do something to help you guys along this journey of becoming successful traders and millionaires.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
No
One
problem.
question.
Mm-hmm.
For your watch list in general, so you have your watch list that you set up for the week. Then you also have watch lists on the day-to-day based on the sector movements.
Well, it's kind of hard to answer, but I have my weekly watch list, and then for the sectors, I have, like you said, I could kind of create another watch list that I use to kind of manage that. But I have also like a paid money watch list. And then I kind of define that. My paid money watch list is all the stocks that I've got money from in the past. So all the stocks that I got winning plays on, and then I break those down by sectors. If I'm still sharing my screen, you can see it. I break those down by sectors, and then that gives me something to already have watching, or already a list of stocks to already have, depending on which sector is running. So as you come along as a trader, you can develop your own, personal paid money watch list or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, let me just show you. So like, this is a combination of my personal watch list, and then like you said, when a certain sector is booming, like XLE, like XME, or the real estate sector, I want to keep eyes on that. So I'll track the sector, and once that goes green, then that's when I'll try to find from my different watch list stuff that I've already have experience with that falls underneath this sector. So XME, these stocks here, they're already in this, and they're on my watch list because I've used them to make money before. MOS is the same. Beyond is the same. So this is a consumer discretionary that I just keep on my watch list, just because consumer discretionary is up and down, and Beyond is up and down too. One day it'll be red, one day it'll be green, the next day it'll be red, the next day it'll be green. And so I can kind of keep track of that noise by just watching Beyond. I hope I answered your question. I don't think I really did, but
No, that makes sense.
yeah, it's because kind of basically what you described is a strategy, and that is a strategy that I kind of use, but I use it my way, like I kind of just described.
Yeah, because I need to get better at organizing watch lists.
Yeah, I mean, and it's one of the bad reasons, one of the factors that comes into play is that there's so many ways that you can do it. And that's probably one of the reasons why it's so complicated to do or so hard to do, because it's just like finding your way of how you want to do things. But once you do that and you get your own system, you're on your way. Just some recommendations. I'm in Costco's, T-Mobile, and McDonald's. Those were like the only stuff that was green. I didn't trade today, but when I came home, that was like one of the only stocks that was green. I was surprised, but I guess keep an eye on that type of stuff. Those are consumer discretionaries and consumer staples and telecommunications. But just keep an eye on that. Costco's, I think, hit an all-time high today. But other than that, I'm not going to say this again. I'll leave y'all be. Thanks again for joining me. I guess I'll see y'all tomorrow.
All right, have a good one.
All right, you too. Boo 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 boo.